So our next destination is the Faron Woods, which I will actually be doing later on in this very video. Before we do that though, there is a piece of heart that we can snag up here on Snow Peak. Now if you aren't interested in that, you can go ahead and skip about 5 minutes into the video where I will continue and move on to Faron. So anyway, we just got a letter from Yeta who asked us to come up to Snow Peak anytime and go sledding with her and her husband. As you approach them, you'll immediately be spoken to by Yeto, and the friendly Yeti man explains that it's a great weather for sledding and suggests you race to the bottom. Say yes to start this fun little minigame. So just like before when we were heading down Snow Peak, we're riding once again on top of one of those frozen leaves from the tree back up top. So it's quite literally snowboarding. We're going to be using the analog stick to move back and forth as well as speed up and slow down. You want to hold the A button to duck and then you can release it in order to jump. So to stay ahead of Yeto, you essentially want to hold forward the entire time. This way you'll go as quick as possible. You want to avoid all the obstacles and try to go as fast as you possibly can. And the music here just makes me smile. It reminds me so much of Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. And pretty much any of the Kirby games in general, especially the ones that have frosty areas. The music is just like this, seriously. So there's actually a really great shortcut you can take by jumping onto the platform just up ahead and to the right. So right here, I'm passing it now. So for the race with Yeto, it doesn't really matter too much, so I will show this regular path this first time around. So up ahead, you'll see there's some ice keys there that I just passed, and so you can slash them up with your sword in passing if you want, though it doesn't really make much difference. That's pretty much all there is to this race, so it's not too difficult unless you have some particular obstacles you have a really hard time avoiding. You know, just keep holding forward on the analog stick, and as long as you don't hit anything, you should easily be able to beat Yeto. Good luck, and I'll see you guys at the bottom. That wasn't so bad, was it? Yeto will congratulate you and tell you to head back up the mountain anytime if you would like to challenge them again. Interesting how they just kind of magically appear in whatever location you're currently at, so if you teleport up there, they'll somehow be back at the top immediately. Instantaneously. Speak with Yeta if you like, who will tell you your current best time, as well as mention the fact that she likes sledding as well. With that, you want to go ahead and run up behind them so they can't see you, and then speak with Midna and warp on back to the top of Snow Peak. So now that we've actually beaten Yeto, we actually have the option to race either of them. So if you speak with Yeto again, you can have a rematch, but now you can also chat with Yeta, who is the faster of the two, so you want to race her this time, because she's the one who has a prize. Powered. Now this race is quite a bit more difficult than the last one. Yeta zips around just as fast as you do, but at times she's even faster. She throws around a lot though, having fun with it and going all over the place, so in that way you can actually keep ahead of her. She'll follow closely behind you the entire way if you don't mess up. Otherwise, she'll easily pass by you and you'll have to try again. Remember to constantly hold forward to maintain your speediness, and don't forget about the occasional jumps that are required, such as that one I just passed. Once you get to the jump that leads down into the area with all the trees, I recommend not taking the jump, but quickly falling down and staying in the snow. This way you can keep up your speed, and that way you won't, because like if you're jumping across, then sometimes you'll just keep going off to the left and such. So up ahead, you'll see there's the shortcut off to the right, which you have to take because Yeta does. So if you will take the shortcut, if you take the long way, then she'll get ahead of you. Now, assuming you don't hit anything thus far, she should be right behind you. Just keep up the pace and aim carefully with your jumps. Now at the end, I find it easier to stop holding forward on the analog stick just for this turn. I, just hold it regular and then move off to the side, and then right here at the last part, I can start holding forward again. So this way it makes that turn a little bit easier, because otherwise I have a tendency to swerve back and forth on those edges, and then I'll fly off the edge, and it's really annoying, so then I have to start all over again. Now hopefully you manage to stay ahead of her and get across the finish line. Yeta will congratulate you, saying that you're thinner than her husband, so you must be more aerodynamic. She then offers you a gift in appreciation of the challenge by giving you a piece of heart. If you've been following the walkthrough thus far, this should be your 34th piece of heart in total. She then asks you not to tell her husband, which I think is kind of creepy. What is that supposed to mean anyway? She goes on to offer you a rematch anytime. So that's all we can do here, so sneak up behind them once again and speak with Midna to warp over at long last to the Faron Woods where Rusl is located. So once you arrive back in Faron Woods, you want to go ahead and run forward and take on your Hylian form once again. You want to walk up to Rusl, who is on top of the stump which leads to the Sacred Grove. This immediately initiates a one-sided conversation. He says that it's been a while since the two of you have walked around in the forest and that things have changed. I'm not really sure what he's supposed to mean by that, but the screen moves around to show off the area, which seems rather pointless to me. I mean, yeah, it looks the same as it did earlier on in the game. After a while, I suppose Rusl feels awkward because of Link's silence. Get used to it, buddy. Yes, if Link knows anything about the ancient temple that is deep within the woods on the other side of the gorge. My upcoming dungeon senses are all tingly. He explains that the ancestors of the Hylians created the temple and that they are some of the remains of that ancient civilization. Apparently, some catastrophic thing happened. He goes on to speculate how awesome it would be if someone could get the dungeon item that is found within the temple. After another dab of awkward silence, he blatantly asks Link if he'll do it. Why can't he go? But sure, why not? Rusl will then whistle, which sounds an awful lot like the hot grass, and oddly enough, for some reason this summons a golden Cucco? Dang, I always wish I was able to do that. Now the random glittery bird will fly onto Rusl's arm obediently. Now if Rusl were just not present, we could, do all this on our own by transforming into a wolf, but he explains that our obvious doubts are going to be put to rest at long last. He drops the thing and leaves us to our journey. We want to pick up the shiny chicken and jump over the ledge. It flies just like any other Cucco, but there are a few differences. It flies faster, and it'll fly back to you if you toss it over into the abyss, and it also recites poetry when spoken to as a wolf. As random as all of that is, we're going to be using this thing to get through this area. Now, I bet you could sell this thing for tons of rupees, but rather than pay off a mortgage, we're going to use this thing to get back to the Sacred Grove. Now unfortunately, one of the bridges is out, so we're going to have to use our Gale Boomerang and lock onto the spinner thing. I hate this part. They don't really explain that the boomerang can actually go a further distance if you lock on, but for some reason you are required to do it at this point. They never explained that in the Forest Temple. Why are they suddenly forcing us to do it now? And having it so you have no other choice. Anyways, I just find that frustrating. Anyways, you want to use the spinner to make the bridge turn, fly over there using the golden Cucco, then make the spinner turn again to get over to this other platform. And the ropes connecting these next platforms are now gone, so we're going to have to use the chicken again, aim carefully, and then jump as you time it well. Now, if for some crazy reason you have not checked out the Howling Stone, do it now! That's all the time I have for this video, people, so join me for the next one, where we'll once again return to the Sacred Grove.